Welcome to Western Principles Resource Management and Capacity Planning video. In this video, we'll show you how you can make sure you've got the right people to get stuff done. This is part 1 of 2, so watch out for our other video. Alright, so we wanted to lay out our agenda for today. We'll talk about the type of problems we hear from our customers and then dive into a discussion of definitions and requirements. Then we'll show you the solutions and talk about your next steps. The solutions and next steps are actually covered in our second video, so look for that one. Right, let's get on to it. Here are the sort of problems we hear from our customers. See if you recognize your challenges in here. Many times, projects just don't seem to get done. People are assigned too much work, and as a result, the work just never can be completed. The work seems to be all done by expensive contractors. How do you get balance such that your team runs and delivers important projects? It's hard to get a good picture of how many people you'll need in the future and the types of roles they'll fill. Some people are assigned too much work and end up working ridiculous hours on an ongoing basis. These are usually your superstars, and this is very bad if your superstars get pushed past a breaking point. Alternatively, other team members don't seem to have enough assigned, so they get bored with their jobs and drag the productivity of the entire team down. And then there's the problem caused by people coming and leaving. How do you easily and quickly backfill people on a project? You probably have other problems that you can think of and other stories that you can tell that underline the complexity of resource management. From an executive perspective, it comes down to just not being able to get stuff done. Projects run late and opportunities are lost. The right people need to be assigned to the right tasks to drive success. Here are a series of definitions. Capacity planning is looking out several months to help you ensure that you have the right number of people with the right skills to get things done. In contrast, resource management is all about assigning and juggling people on projects and tasks to complete work. A role is what a person does. It also might be a skill. A generic resource is used for capacity planning as a placeholder for a person. It will get assigned to a named resource as the planning horizon gets closer to the activity. The named resource is a person with a role who ultimately gets assigned to a task. Coming off the definitions, you can see we have 2 timeframes that we plan for. Let's start with capacity planning, and we'll start by looking out into the future. Based on project estimates, if we add up the resource needs for all projects, we can start to get a picture of resource needs across the portfolio, months out and into the future. With good planning, we can look at this by roles. So 6 months out, you can know that you'll need 3 project managers, 2 architects, 2 business analysts, and 14 developers to do 6 projects. We can now overlay on this the resources we have. And now we can see how many resources we need or where we might have excess capacity. Again, this can be by role. Now we can start to look at our strategy. If we don't have enough people to do all the work, maybe we need to delay or cancel projects, and for that we'd want to look at business strategy and our project priorities. But let's say we want to get all of this work done and we've got budget to get more people. How many do we want to hire and how many do we want to bring in as contractors? In our scenario, our process approvals will get our new people in place about 8 months from now. We've decided to hire people to bring us up to a reasonable steady state for ongoing projects. We still need to fill the other roles, so we'll turn to consultants in this case. There may be some other factors at play here like long-term consulting contracts, multi-skilled team members, and the ability to pull team members from other parts of your business. Now we've met our goals. We have enough people to get the projects done, and we've achieved a balance between our employees, hiring, and consultants. So next, let's look at resource management. In the first case, we have a task that needs a developer. I need to find someone that's a developer who's available. Using a query tool as part of the project management system, I can find an available person with the right skill. In this case, we found a developer, and we've assigned him to the task. Things are balanced. He's got 8 hours available each day, and he's assigned 8 hours a day for a couple of weeks. All good. Except that we've got another task that he's assigned to start the next week. Also 8 hours a day for a couple of weeks. Someone clearly didn't assign this work well. Now he's over-allocated for a week. How do we know this has happened? We've got an angry, burned out, and tired worker 2 weeks from now? That's not good. Better is a dashboard where the project manager or PMO member can see that people are allocated well, or in this case, over-allocated. We can also quickly identify people who are under-allocated. Now the project manager can easily reassign the work and balance allocations. We've met our resource management goals. Everyone is assigned a reasonable amount of work, and we've got happy team members. On a small scale with a few projects and a few people, this is easy to understand, but adding any type of scale, a few projects in a program, a number of programs, a number of resources with different calendars, with a number of different skills, and even more variables, it gets ugly fast. Let's talk a bit more about your planning horizons and goals for selecting work and then assigning people or roles to work. The past has happened. In the past, you should have actuals and you should be able to track what work was done, what work is left to do, and who did how much work. In the now, you need to know what work needs to be done, and you need to know who's going to do it. How do you get that clarity? You start by looking out into the future. You may be planning a year or more out. We'll use a rolling 13-month planning horizon for this model. The timescale you use will be based on the organizational culture, the type of projects, and the critical nature of the resources. Large projects, like an SAP implementation, may have a longer horizon. Agile projects, in philosophy or methodology, will have shorter horizons. This provides you a guideline on which you can base your own business processes. Definition of the short-term, long-term, and the rolling wave window may all change. So in this story, 13 months out, we're assuming a budgeting process, which is looking at what must be done to achieve the business strategy, what it will cost, and what resources you need. This includes programs and projects. That far into the future, the story may be vague. You know what you need, and you can take a shot in the dark at estimating a schedule based on a template and resourcing based on roles or generic resources. The PMO owns this part of the project definition and capacity planning cycle. They work on a rolling wave window where they're detailing or elaborating the schedule and adding or revising the schedule with more detailed resource information. This is all about the long-term resource plan and ensuring that they'll have the right skilled people in place to do the work. Part of that cycle will be to detail the work breakdown structure and tasks and determine how the project will be done, for example, using internal or contract resources. This brings more clarity to the planning. In fact, as you start to approach the work, you may even start to assign some people to the project. At some point, a few weeks or months from the work actually being done, the project manager takes over the scheduling and starts to work on a rolling wave window to assign people to work. The project manager focuses on making sure the right people are brought to the project at the right time. As you get closer to the actual work, there may be contention where you might start to have too much work and too few resources, which might cause the schedule to shift or work to be rebalanced. This balancing process is resource allocation and optimization. Now the project has a detailed schedule and people assigned to it, but this is still just the plan, and it could change. A couple of weeks out from the work being done, the assignments are frozen. This means that team members can see what work is assigned to them and can get ready for it. So by now it's apparent that capacity planning and resource management are not trivial exercises. So here's a quick shopping list for what you'll need to solve the problem. What else would you add to this? From the list of needs, let's talk about how you can solve these capacity planning and resource management problems. A spreadsheet? Oh no. In this scenario, someone in the project management office often tries to understand the impact of resourcing across all projects by interviewing individual project managers or trying to roll together multiple spreadsheets or project plans. This presents a very complex scenario. It's brutal to maintain, and it's really never accurate. For better or for worse, these spreadsheets often have lots of macros built into them, and sometimes they will have math errors. And if the person who created this spreadsheet ever moves on, well, there's no way to maintain that sheet into the future. What about using your enterprise resource planning system, your ERP? These systems are a box load of functionality, including your accounting system, your HR system, your procurement system, and sometimes some level of project management. But these also don't work well for the project management purpose. They're lightweight on project and portfolio management capabilities. expensive for what you get, and often require a lot of customization to approach your needs. Ultimately, in our experience, the outcome is disappointing, and the result is often that the PMO builds out a spreadsheet. Double yuck. The right answer is to use a purpose-built, best-in-breed solution like Microsoft Project Online. It's important to take the time to configure the solution to meet your needs and processes. Of course, the system has to be used, so you have to be sure that the processes and system is easy to use and has great standards. Finally, you can extend and integrate the PPM solution in multiple ways. For example, to bring in additional business teams and to work with your ERP system, among other possibilities. This brings us to the end of part 1 of this series. In part 2 of the series, we'll jump back to our agenda and look at the solutions and your next steps.